Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash up the likes and subscribe. It's a pivotal week in the transfer dealings, the final week. And I understand we're just trying to, finish off this transformative transfer window, and we're just making sure now that we get that final attacker. But please, I ain't gonna go on a rant here, but some of the discussions, conversations I've seen taking place, please, can we not do what we always do at the end of a transfer window and panic? That's right, panic. Some of the links, or at least conversations I'm seeing take place on socials in terms of Sancho and Smith-Rowe. That's right, I'm going to start with them. The two young English internationals. Not bad players, listen. Smith-Rowe, before the injuries were piling up at Arsenal, was looking like a very, very good young player that had the potential to blossom into something special. He was a player that was, listen, let's be honest, they were calling him the Croydon De Bruyne at the Emirates. But he has had those said injury concerns, similar to a Hudson-Odoi on our side, who we're now potentially going to let go, it seems, to Nottingham Forest for 8 million. You don't pick up a player after an array of injuries and they have not yet responded to said injuries to get themselves back into the 11 at Arsenal. It's not even a Wesley Fofana situation where he had that massive injury and then he got himself back into the Leicester team for the back end, and then we went and bought him, which was still ridiculously risky. Smith-Rowe is not even broken back into the Arsenal team yet. So Arsenal are just not going to put a fair price on his head. He's going to be expensive. And I think it undoes both these clubs. It undoes a lot of the good work we did in selling Kai Havertz and selling Mason Mount for the fees that we got for them, especially for some of the concerns and some of the performances they're showing early on in their Manchester United and Arsenal careers. Too early to completely judge, I agree. But at this current moment, it's not been a great start for them. You're bringing in all that money only to then give it back for similar players in terms of concern, in terms of lack of form, in terms of fitness issues. For me, it just makes absolutely no sense. It is a definition of a panic buy, and it's not something we have to do. Yes, we want another attacker. Yes, we want someone that can play across the front. Potentially Smith-Rowe is able to play in that 10, has shown he can operate out wide. But make sure that person that you're bringing in is a damn good option in terms of they're confident, they're in form, they're showing in recent seasons the attributes that can now come and complement this team. Don't go too far back in time to try and justify a purchase now, which is what a lot of people, a lot of teams have done in those exits that we've just given them. So for me, we don't need to take that risk. We have, Gallagher, who's now started to perform. Not saying that he's the answer long term. Of course, I've always had my reservations, but credit where it's due. The kid's playing very well right now. We have Lavia to come into that midfield. If you're not bringing in somebody substantially, of certain quality, a floor raiser, if you're not bringing in someone special and someone in form with confidence that we should be looking to bring in, then for me it's a no-brainer to kind of almost do nothing. And the same applies to Sancho. Sancho is another player where, again, I wanted him at Chelsea when he was at Dortmund. Very, very talented player. He's shown maybe potentially in the Premier League that he doesn't have the explosive kind of side of his game that would make him be a winger fit for purpose in this league. He can't really go past players with the same way that he showed in the Bundesliga, but we know his combination play, his link up, his 1 and 2 touch give and go, his ability to shoot just outside the area or in the area is very good. And that's where people say, I've seen people say, listen, why are we not just keeping Hudson-Odoi? Well, Sancho has shown that he can put the ball consistently in the back of the net at Dortmund. Hudson-Odoi has not ever shown that he can put the ball consistently in the back of the net. His finishing left a lot to be desired. But again, not co-signed in this deal, despite the fact that I liked the player previously, because, again, he is not playing well since he's arrived in this country. He's not in form. He's not shown that he can be a Premier League hit. And yes, at Manchester United, he had a decent pre-season. He played in the false 9. He looked good in central areas. I think you need to get players around him. Those give and goes, like I said, get him close to the box, get those shots off, not necessarily play him out wide, which is the position we're looking for. It is still a lot of if, buts, maybes and factors to make Sancho suddenly tick again. And we're trying to walk away from that. If anything, we've already got players that we need to get going. We need to put confidence into. We need to kind of showcase their talents in Mudryk and Madueke. I don't think we need any more projects in terms of players that are not in the sharpest part of their career in terms of confidence, in terms of form, in terms of showcasing their maximum. These are gambles. These are massive gambles. These are players that almost need reviving, resurrecting. We don't need to be focusing on that. We're meant to be bringing in players that are going to improve us, not players that we have to improve or fix. And if we are going to improve them, they better be confident. So for me, in terms of Sancho, it's a no. He's on high wages as well, which is something we're meant to be walking away from. Smith-Rowe, I'm pretty sure, got a new contract to Arsenal, but he's not. Sancho's on much higher wages. He's on like 300 and something K. What is, unless he's going to take a massive wage cut like Lukaku did, even then, what is he going to cut down to? 200? Still too much for what he's doing at the moment. He's probably worth about 110 max. What he's doing in terms of output, in terms of contribution for Manchester United, he's probably worth 110, 120 max. Is he going to really chop his wage in a third with a long-term contract still left at Manchester United after only being there a couple of years? For me, it just doesn't make any sense again. And it's too much. We need to do this to make you tick. And again, we just shouldn't be thinking like that right now. We're meant to be adding players that for me can handle multiple roles to a high level. We're looking for someone that can play out wide, but can also play in the centre in the 10. Sancho's not shown he can play out wide in this league, and he's not even consistently shown in the 10 that he's going to be of an elite level in this league. We're just thinking that he can do it because of little signs and signals. So again, an absolute no. There's been better suggestions. Obviously, the Barcola deal from Lyon seems to be off because Andre Santos is gone to Nottingham Forest on loan. Apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, that Santos loan to Lyon would have helped us get Barcola in the opposite direction on a permanent. But he is a winger, and we do want someone that could potentially play in the 10 and wing, so I'm not really upset about that. You have, like I mentioned before, Cherky, who for me seems like the better talent at that club for the two-player. Similar when we was going for Johnson or linked with Johnson, I thought Gibbs White would have been, again, it's just a better player in that team. We look like we're going for the secondary attackers in those two teams, but again, that link is off, so it's fine. And then you start to think about other options, and there's the midfielder from Sporting, Pedro Gonzalez, that people have been kind of talking to me about. There's Nononto, I saw Nini bring up from Leeds, very talented winger as well. There's options. There's plenty of players in the French league. Whoever it may be, Carefree, please let it be somebody confident. Let it be somebody not ridiculously versatile, because versatility can be sometimes a problem. It can be going against you. But don't let it be somebody that only has a couple of traits, and if that isn't performing to a level, then they've got nothing else to bring. They're very limited, right? We've had that before. Limited wingers, Ziyech, Werner. They can only do a couple of things to a good level, and then if they can't do those two things, then it's finished for them. Find players with some sort of variety to their game. That's why I do like Cherky, because he's a dribbler. He is somebody that also has the pass. He's somebody that can carry the ball. Somebody that can potentially shoot and cross with both feet. So there is versatility there. Not saying it has to be him, but one of my favourite options. But find somebody that can contribute to multiple facets of the game. If you're going to try and play them out wide and in the 10, that is something that versatile players are Bernardo Silva-esques. That's something that they can do. They have to have a multitude of elite attributes under their name. They can't be just a couple of things here or there. You don't play those two positions to a top level if you can't dribble, but then also pass, but then also have spatial awareness, but then also dribble, but then also shoot. But you just can't. So we'll see who we end up with. I don't like those two shouts, and I'm slamming those doors shut for me personally. And I'd rather do no business than the wrong business, right? That's always how I'm feeling. And in this window, that's how I've had to approach it. Better to not sign someone up to a 6, 7, 8 year contract that's young, that we shouldn't really potentially be going for, then do nothing, because long term that will put you in a more precarious position. Look at Cucurella, talk about him for a moment. Could be going to Manchester United on loan. I personally, of course, would rather get a permanent transfer, but obviously they're only looking at him because Luke Shaw is injured and Malacia is also injured as well. So they're looking for a short-term loan, probably maybe a season-long loan. Get 100% of those wages covered. Try and get a loan fee in there, maybe 5, 6, 7 million. And then maybe, just maybe, an obligation to buy would be brilliant. But again, I don't think they'll go for it. But it's just something I would rather start the negotiation putting it there than not. There are other options in Marcos Alonso and Reguilon. For me, they're not better than Cucurella, and they're not players that suit Man United more than Cucurella. You look at Marcos Alonso, I know he's played centre-back at Barcelona a few times, but he's a wing-back, at least in the Premier League. He's a wing-back. I wouldn't be confident playing Marcos Alonso as a centre-back in this league. Not that they need a centre-back anyway. They're looking for a left-back, and he can't defend at left-back in this league. We've seen it at Chelsea for multiple years. So he's a wing-back. They don't play with wing-backs, so that rules him out. Then you've got Reguilon. Again, was absolutely awful at Tottenham. Just did not do anything that I expected him to carry over from Sevilla. So again, very low stocks, needs reviving, needs replenishing almost his confidence. So Cucurella makes the most sense on a loan. He's on high wages. I think he's on like 170k, something like that, which is astronomical. 2 left backs we have at the club that are on 190 or 200 and 170k, which is ridiculous. But Cucurella right now looks like as if he's definitely second choice to vice captain Chilwell, and Maatsen is really impressing Pochettino at the moment. And we haven't seen him at left back yet, and that's where I'm going to get to Wimbledon. I think against Wimbledon we should be seeing Maatsen play at left back, so we can really, again, we can't really take too much from playing against a League 2 team, but at least then we know he is the clear second choice left back, and that completely rules out Cucurella. Because what I don't want, as much as people don't rate Cucurella right now and his stocks and standards are very low, I don't want to over egg it, because I do think there's a good player there. We saw a very, very, very top performance against Dortmund. It was a flash in the pan, but he does have attributes to him. I don't think that he defends as well as he should when he's closing down space and committing himself to duels and losing them and then leaving acres behind him. I don't think he goes forward as well as he should with his crossing and his under and overlapping, but I do think he can give us a smooth pass along the ground and break lines. I do think he has the capacity to help us in terms of being the opposite option of inverting from fullback instead of overlapping, and he is quick and he can help us on transition, and he will be able to bring those things to Manchester United if and when they go for him or close the deal. And his performance at Brighton in that Player of the Year season, listen, it was a very impressive season. So if Chilwell was to get injured, we would have just Ian Maatsen in that option. And if he signs that new deal, fantastic. I have complete trust and faith in Ian Maatsen. We have to see what he's like defensively in this league at this level. That's something we've never seen. So, but at least going forward, he's going to give us more, I think, than Cucurella. We have to be absolutely sure though that is happening. He is going to be that option. So against Wimbledon, I'd play him. With Cucurella, like I said, you're saving on the wages a lot. You're hopefully, I guess, you're thinking that maybe Manchester United will retain some interest after the season's done if he plays well. But then you wouldn't wish him to play well anyway, because he's going to a direct rival. So this is where it becomes a bit complex, because if Cucurella goes there and flops, yes, you've got the wages covered, cool. But then his value is not getting any higher, certainly from what it is currently now, whereas that Brighton Player of the Year is really just in the back pocket. No one seems to be jumping for it. If he does do well, then he's probably helped them in some capacity. He's helped them, kind of maybe potentially beat us to the positions in top 4 and what we're vying for. So it's weird, strange one. That's why I don't really like dealing with direct rivals. I'd rather obviously ship them off to Spain or to another country in Italy or whatever. But beggars can't be choosers. We'll see what happens on that situation. Chelsea seem like they're happy to do some sort of business here. It's not the first time we've done business with United and Arsenal. We've given them players and we've improved our midfield, and they at the moment don't look like they've improved with those said players in their teams. Hopefully that will be the case with Cucurella, if that is the case. But stay away from Smith-Rowe, stay away from Sancho, and focus on players that are in form, confident, doing well now, not coming back from long-term or a bundle of injuries, and don't need figuring out or fixing, because that is what we've just got away from with Mount and with Havertz. And let's not give them their money back. Let's not do that. We don't do refunds. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Big up your damn selves in the building, and I'll see you guys next time. Smash up the likes and subscribe. In a bit, people. Peace.